We have spent significant time understanding what Kafka is, how it's structured, and the vital role its components play. You now have a solid mental model of the Kafka cluster. Now we are going to bring that model to life. We are going to follow a single event, a message, on its entire journey through Kafka from the moment it leaves a producer application until it's processed by a consumer. This is the end-to-end data path in Kafka. Understanding this journey is crucial because it reveals how Kafka achieves its guarantees like ordering, durability, delivery, semantics, and how all the components like producers, topics, partitions, brokers, consumers, consumer groups, etc. truly interact. And also the critical configuration points that influence message delivery and reliability. Let's trace the life of a message. Before we begin the journey, let's quickly recall our main characters. First, we have the producers. These are your applications that send or publish events. Then we have topics, the named categories for event streams. Then we have partitions, the ordered, immutable log that make up a topic, enabling parallelism. Next, we have brokers, the Kafka servers that store partitions and handle client requests. We have consumers, which are again your applications that read or subscribe to and process events. And finally, we have consumer groups, how multiple consumers coordinate to share partitions and process data in parallel. Our message's life begins with a producer application. A producer creates a record. Your producer application first constructs a record or event. This record typically consists of an optional key, which is a byte array. It's often used to determine the target partition. It also consists of a value, the actual data payload, for example, JSON, Avro, text, or anything else. It can also consist of optional headers, which are additional metadata about the record, about the event. And finally, a timestamp, either set by the producer or automatically by Kafka upon ingestion. After the record is created, the next step is serialization. Before the record can be sent over the network, it must be serialized. This means converting the key and value, which are typically objects or strings in your programming language, into raw bytes. The producer uses a serializer, for example, string serializer or JSON serializer or Avro serializer, for this purpose. After that, there is partitioning. This is a crucial step. The producer determines which partition within the target topic the record will be sent to. If a key is provided, Kafka guarantees that all records with the same key will always go to the same partition. This is achieved by hashing the key. This is vital for maintaining message order for related events. For example, all updates for user ID 123 always go to the same partition. If no key is provided, that means we have a null key, records are typically distributed among partitions in a round-robin fashion to ensure even load distribution across partitions. And we have already seen that in action. When we sent 10 messages in a loop, they were sent to different partitions in a round-robin way because they did not have any accompanying key. Now we've seen both the cases, if a key is provided or if no key is provided. Now next is a custom partitioner. So this is something advanced where you can also implement custom logic to decide partitioning. After determination of the partition, the producer then establishes a connection with the broker, that is the leader for the chosen partition. After the partition is determined, the producer then establishes a connection with the broker, that is the leader for the chosen partition. Next step is producer batching and buffering. For efficiency, producers typically don't send each message individually. Instead, they buffer messages, which means records are temporarily stored in an internal buffer. Or they can batch messages, which means multiple records destined for the same partition are grouped into a batch. And finally, these batches are sent to the Kafka broker when the batch size is reached or configured linger.ms, a small delay timeout, expires. So this reduces network overhead and improves throughput. After batching and buffering, we have producer, acknowledgements, and durability. This is where Kafka's delivery guarantees begin. The producer's acknowledgements configuration determines how much durability is guaranteed at the producer side before the producer considers a message sent. Now, if ACKs are 0, if the acknowledgement that we have configured is equal to 0, that means that our message configuration is fire and forget. This is least durable. So in this case, the producer sends the message and doesn't wait for any acknowledgement from the broker. This has the highest risk of data loss if the broker fails immediately after receiving the message. And the advantage is that we get highest throughput and lowest latency. Now, next condition is if the ACK's value, acknowledgement's value, is 1. So this is leader acknowledgement. This has moderate durability. The producer waits for an acknowledgement from the leader broker of the partition. Data loss is possible if the leader broker fails before the message is replicated to its followers. This is a good balance of durability and throughput. And finally, the last condition is if the ACK's value is configured to be all or -1. Alright, so this is full acknowledgement and highest durability. The producer waits for an acknowledgement from the leader broker and confirmation that the message has been successfully replicated to all In-Sync Replicas, the ISRs. This has the lowest risk of data loss. Message is considered committed only when all ISRs have it. This offers highest durability but potentially higher latency as well. And the option of ACKs equals all is often combined with minimum in-sync replicas for stricter guarantees. Once the configured acknowledgements level, the ACKs level, is met or maybe not waited for in case of ACKs equals 0, then the producer considers the message sent, potentially clearing it from the buffer. Now begins phase 2, message storage and replication within the broker. So now the message has arrived at the Kafka cluster. So let's see what happens inside. The leader broker for the chosen partition receives the message batch. It appends the messages to the end of the partition's immutable log file, and it assigns a unique sequential offset to each message within that partition. This offset acts as the message's address. It also sets the timestamp, either the producer's timestamp or the broker's ingestion timestamp. At this point, the message is available to be read by consumers, but only from the leader. Next step is replication to followers. For fault tolerance and durability, if replication factor is greater than 1, the leader broker replicates the new messages to its follower replicas on other brokers. Followers continuously pull new messages from the leader. Once a follower has successfully replicated a message and written it to its own log, it's considered in sync. The set of in-sync replicas is known as the ISR, in-sync replicas set. This set determines which replicas are considered up to date for data durability. This replication ensures that if the leader broker fails, another replica can quickly become the new leader without data loss, assuming ACKs equals all and minimum in-sync replicas were configured properly. And now our phase 3 starts, which is consuming the message. Now the message is safely stored. How do our consumers now consume it? So the first step for consumers is the consumer group joins. When a consumer application starts and subscribes to a topic within a consumer group, it initiates a process called a rebalance. A designated Kafka broker, the group coordinator, manages the state of consumer groups. During a rebalance, the group coordinator works with the consumers to assign partitions to each consumer instance within the group. The rule is each partition is assigned to exactly one consumer instance within a group. In Kafka 4.0, using --property group.protocol equals consumer enables the new consumer rebalance protocol, which is KIP 848. We just covered it. This protocol is server driven and more incremental or cooperative, meaning rebalances cause less disruption and pause less processing compared to older protocols. This significantly improves consumer group stability and reduces latency during changes. Unlike some traditional message queues that push messages to consumers, Kafka consumers pull messages from their assigned partitions. The consumer actively requests messages from the broker, which is the partition leader, at its own pace. This gives consumers control over their consumption rate. Consumers typically fetch messages in batches controlled by parameters like fetch.min.bytes and fetch.max.wait.ms milliseconds. Alright, so this is for efficiency. Once the consumer receives the raw bytes of the message, it uses a deserializer, for example, a string deserializer, a JSON deserializer, or Avro deserializer, to convert those bytes back into a usable format, for example, a string or an object for your application's logic. Then your application processes the message according to its business logic, for example, storing it in a database, sending an email, or performing analytics. So once deserialization and processing has completed and we have stored the data that we received using the message, the record from Kafka broker, we saved it in a database or sent an email or anything else, then comes offset management and committing offsets. This is crucial for fault tolerance and ensuring messages are processed correctly. The consumer needs to keep track of its progress in each partition. The offset is the sequential ID of a message within a partition. It represents the consumer's position. After a consumer processes a message or a batch of messages, it commits its offset. This means it records the offset of the next message it intends to read for that partition. Committed offsets are stored by Kafka itself in a special internal topic called _consumer_offsets. This is managed by the group coordinator broker. And now in commits, we have auto commit versus manual commit. So the consumer automatically commits offsets periodically, for example, every 5 seconds. This is simpler but can lead to duplicates if the consumer crashes after processing but before the auto commit. Manual commit is where the application explicitly calls consumer.commitSync or consumer.commitAsync after successfully processing messages. This provides stronger at least once or exactly once guarantees. Committing an offset is like committing a bookmark in a book to remember where you left off. If you close the book and reopen it later, you start from that bookmark. And finally, we come to handling failures, handling consumer crash. So what happens if a consumer crashes before it can commit its offset? The group coordinator detects the consumer's absence, so there will be no heartbeat, and a rebalance is triggered within the consumer group. The partitions previously owned by the crashed consumer are reassigned to other active consumers in the group. The new consumer instance or the reassigned one will start reading messages from the last committed offset for those partitions. And when we are talking about commits and handling failures, we need to talk about delivery guarantees. So first we have at least once. If a consumer crashes after processing but before committing the offset, the messages might be processed again by another consumer. This is often the default behavior with careful manual commits. Then we have at most once. If a consumer commits before processing and then crashes, some messages might be lost. This is less common but possible with auto.commit or eager commits. And finally, we have exactly once, which is achieved with Kafka transactions. When we will get to Kafka transactions, you will understand exactly once with it. So this is advanced feature often used with Kafka streams. It guarantees each message is processed exactly once, even across failures, by making writes idempotent and linking input-output commits atomically. This end-to-end journey highlights the robustness, scalability, and delivery guarantees that make Kafka an indispensable platform for modern data streaming. You now have a complete and dynamic understanding of how a message lives and breathes within Kafka. This comprehensive view is essential for building reliable Kafka applications.